Hello and welcome to Connect to Love here on PRN-FM, your sanctuary for exploring the boundless facets of love, oneness, and the magnificence of the human spirit. We're so delighted to be on this journey of discovery with you, and every episode there are so many wonderful things that we uncover, and I'm just delighted to welcome my co-host, Michael J. Russ. I want to say hello to you.
Hello. Thank you. Wonderful to be back again.
We are super excited because today we continue our Awakening series with our cherished guest, the beautiful Carol Collins, and the wisdom of the teachers. And in our last episode, we delved into the vibrant energy of joy. I know whatever unfolds today, it will be divinely guided. So excited. So I want to say welcome to you, Carol. We love you and we've missed you. It fills my heart with so much joy to have you join us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I know we didn't have our usual monthly in June. But what do you do about that? You just say, you know what? There must have been an oops, because there must have been an oops, because we all love it and is divinely inspired. It is the teachers that, they've talked before about how they craft these episodes. They watch our thought and they watch what we're interested in, and then they craft it. And so there was just a combination of things that was an oops, but here we are. And so we're correcting the oops, and that's what they want us to really think about, correcting the oops. Yeah.
I like that a lot. Correcting the oops. And I think it's so important, Carol, because in a world where we constantly rush around and we don't always forgive ourselves for the oopses in our lives, and it's just this achieve more, do more, be more, all of these other ideas. And sometimes we forget that profound wisdom of taking a deep breath and saying, it's okay, just chill out, relax. Right? It's been
relax.
It is. Yeah, relax. Although that may be an oxymoron for you in your world. For any of our guests that may not be familiar with Carol Collins and the teachers, her profound personal awakening happened after a period of about 9 months of silent meditation. And really what unfolded from there has been just transformational. And Carol, I will let you share just a little bit because you do such a great job of explaining your journey with the teachers, if that's okay.
It's funny because as you were saying that, then I was just hearing from my guide and they said, but let's tell the whole story because there are other people who are going through the same thing. And so, there are spiritual people in the world, and there are people that just find meditation and then they try all kinds of it, and then they get into a daily practice or a daily habit, and eventually they start to feel like they're guided, and then they might start to have evidence that they know things that they didn't know. Like, I think I heard my grandfather, Mom, Dad, did Grandpa ever wear this? Because I just got an image of that after meditation. And then, Mom and Dad might say, yeah, that was his favorite jacket. That's funny that you saw that. He's been gone since you were a little kid. And so sometimes there are signs that some kind of communication is happening. And then there are people who are not spiritual, and they're just going about their lives, and then something profound happens. And that's, category number 2. Category number 3 is you need help with coping with life. And that's where I was. I was category 3. I was raised Catholic, but not overly religious. I, went to church and went in waves on when it was important and when it wasn't. But I believed in the afterlife. But that's about it. I was not a spiritual person, except for I really like rose quartz, and that was about it. And so I'm not a category 1 or a category 2. I was a category 3. I was in deep need of help coping with what life was doing to me. It was just a confluence of things. And I won't say that I was broken in that category, but I certainly was going through probably one of the worst phases of my life. And that's when I found silent meditation. And then when I found silent meditation, it was like a need. It was like, sometimes you do these challenges and sometimes you stick with it and sometimes you don't. This was something that was more like this for some reason I believe in. And so when I learned about silent meditation, a very small amount, and I was doing about 12 minutes, coincidentally, it just took hold of me, and I had an inner need to do it every day. And 9 months into it was my first direct verbal communication, and my guide started to spell words with my nose, a lot of them, wrote a chapter of a book, and gave me all kind of personal guidance about the thing that I was going through. So any of you listeners out there, if you are listening because you are needing help with coping with life, do silent meditation. And don't ever think that you are not in the category of life where something amazing can't happen to you. Well, it only happens to people who are spiritual. It only happens to people who are good. It only happens to people who are wealthy. It only happens to other people, because sometimes you just don't know what life has in store for you. And that's, kind of my story. I was in a rut, a bad one. It was a breakup that was really, really emotionally awful. And coming to terms with, being late 40s and starting over again. That's never a good feeling. And then I found silent meditation. It took hold of me. I did it every day. And this amazing thing that I wasn't asking for, that I wasn't going for, that I wasn't in the spiritual community investigating and working towards, it just showed up on my doorstep. Mm-hmm. And so it can happen that way. It can. But it won't unless you are engaging with friendly towards yourself. And there's no better way to engage with friendly towards yourself than giving yourself a handful of minutes of silent, eyes closed, silent meditation, because that's the only way they can bring it out in you. You tiptoe towards some kind of mediumship throughout life, but it comes out faster, quicker when it's something that's destined for you. And so I now know it was destined for me, but when it would show up, I always knew that it was gentleness that I was compared to other people. I never liked sarcasm. I never liked mean. I never liked violence. I never liked blood and gore. I never liked, that kind of thing. Never liked it. But other than that, I was just a mainstream person. I was just doing life. And then I had a need to recover from, I had a need to cope with what life was giving me. And then I found meditation, silent meditation. And then this showed up on my doorstep. So there's some listeners that, and my guide specifically said, Carol, there are people just like you, but there's at least 2 listeners that will listen to this episode within the next 2 months that are going to be in the category of, I need some kind of emotional help and I don't know what to do. Let it be meditation. And anything else that you find fun, healthy, and interesting. And those things are up to you. But silent meditation is the conduit for emotional healing. That's the conduit for emotional healing. And then life just, after a while, starts to feel a little bit better. So don't give up on yourself, and don't give up on, being a medium. Because there is at least one person that's going to be listening within the next 2 months that also has destiny-based mediumship in his future. So that one is someone who's got it built into their soul plan to bring mediumship out. So if you feel like this conversation is talking to you, it probably is. And silent meditation is find a quiet room, find a really comfy position sitting up, and close your eyes. Set your timer, close your eyes, and then just do about 5 minutes. And if that feels really good, inch yourself up to 12 minutes and then just stop there. Because that one person, the male, whoever listening, whoever that is, I hope that you do it, because it's a profound experience when it surfaces for people like you and me. But it does take silent meditation to bring it out. That's what they needed to say for that person. So anything else you guys want to talk about? They are ready and willing, but that's the creative moment. They have someone that they're drawing to your podcast to listen to it, because, there's always, somebody's guide is always saying, where can this person find what they need to open up to what they have built in? So I'm glad to do that for that person.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Carol. And I really so appreciate the reminder, because people see where you are now, and many do not realize what you had to go through to get to where you are. But it was all in divine order. It was all in divine timing. You had this wonderful group supporting you along that journey.
Yeah, but not to contradict you, but I'm going to.
Okay, please.
Because most of life is what you think about, what you interact with, what you believe in, you get more of it. And so life, moment by moment by moment, is not divinely inspired. It's law of attraction. Your emotions, positive and negative, are what guide you to your future experiences. So, my complete phase where nothing was going my way, that was not divinely inspired. So it wasn't that this was, you have to go through the things that you went through. I didn't have to. I didn't have to do it the hard way. I certainly could have had a more peaceful, happier journey towards it. And so there is there is a need to say, we have every second of every hour, we have a choice to make. Do you want to be happy or do you not? And when you choose happy more often, then happy is what unfolds. And then along the way, there are things that are divinely inspired. So I know that this ability was destiny-based, and I know that the timing for it to come out was intended, but everything that led up to it, I did that. It's just trials and tribulations are not built into physical life. We find that along the way, and it becomes the challenge. It becomes the hurdle. And when you overcome the hurdle, then your life starts to unfold again in a more positive way. Does that make any sense? It's
absolutely
it's hard to,
yes, it does.
No, I appreciate it very much, and I thank you for the conscious information regarding the languaging, because it is very important. That's why I missed you so much. I need those reminders.
It's funny. It's kind of funny because not being like waist deep in the spiritual community and being indoctrinated with the thought of, certainly I have the Christian background of being divinely guided, but it wasn't on my mind every day. That wasn't something that I was always thinking about. And I never adopted the idea that life is like a play that you prepare yourself ahead of time and then it just unfolds in the physical world. I never even thought that deeply on it. It's just simply this. We live life, we make decisions, and sometimes those decisions are good and sometimes they're not so good. But when things are good, focus on it, love on it, and you emphasize it, and that creates more influence to have more of it. But, we do make things harder for ourselves. The teachers once said, if we could change one thought pattern, if we had, let's just say that we were on a game show and we won the prize, where we could pick one thought to change the way human beings think, and we would only be allowed that one opportunity. They said we would choose, I'm supposed to experience this. I'm supposed to experience this. And they said that's the one thought that keeps people believing that life is supposed to offer us yin and yang, that life is supposed to offer us good and bad. And they said, truly, that's not the case. Good and bad is here. And you get to choose to engage in fun and not so fun. But it's a choice. And it's a conscious and an unconscious choice. But what you're guided to is everything that is good and fun, good and fun, good and fun, good and fun. They said it's a complete and total misconception that we're supposed to experience challenges. They said that's not true. You come here where challenges exist, and you are supposed to listen to guidance, internal vibration kind of guidance, and then follow the path of good and happy. But we don't, but we don't purely. And so that's what they said. If we could change one thought, it would be, I was supposed to experience this and learn something from it. And if they would pick that one,
fascinating.
Out of all the things that people think and all the challenges that they have with getting through to us, if that's the one thing that they would pick, then it just makes me stop and think, where have I adopted that thought pattern that I'm supposed to deal with this? And they said, well, Carol, just look at your lifestyle. Where do you have your own needs and wants? You want a bigger following, more, a broader opportunity for your channeling to allow the essential material to be put out in the world. And so you don't have no following, but you don't have what you want. And so where is your belief pattern of this is who I'm supposed to be? And they say, Carol, you believe that you're supposed to be marginalized. You believe it because over the years you've been exposed to it. You've been exposed to it. Middle class lifestyle, you are exposed to. There are those that have, and there are those that don't. And so you become happy with the amount that you have, because even though you're not in the elite haves, you're also not in the extreme have-not. And so the middle class especially, it's challenge kind of a life to see what others have and how many people are suffering from not having, and then adopting complacency. And then when something does happen like this and you want to branch out and open up your life to being broader and bigger, the mind says, but that's not who I've been. That's not my way of life. And so it resists change.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Yeah, it seems incredibly true to the point where there are a lot of people who likely feel that way. So, and really don't realize that is what is stopping them from, preventing them from expanding in their own consciousness and their life and just about everything else. That's a fascinating concept. Marginalizing yourself. Are you?
Right.
Yeah. Are you doing that? Right.
The my personal guide. So there's my guide who uses the name James, and then there's a group of teachers who call themselves the collective or the teachers of the essential material. And what they said to me was, if you want to create a life that is bigger than what you have grown up with, then use examples. Just don't use envy. Look at everybody who has gone from middle class to powerful, or middle class and influential, whether it has to do with wealth or not, or, look at people who've had moderate income to extraordinary income, and then just look at it and say, yes, that's what I want. Yes, that's what I want to manifest. Yes, that is an example of exactly what I'm asking for. But if you do that, you have to do it with some conscious thought about not dipping into envy, because that keeps you where you are. And so it's almost like wanting to come across other people who have done whatever it is that you're intending to do, and it could be just getting a new job, and not even, altering your lifestyle and your life experiences in a major way. It could simply be, I really, really, really need to get a new job, or I need to get a job. And so what do you do normally? Well, people look around and get frustrated, and they get envious of everybody else that, I got a job in 2 days. I got a job in 1 day. And you too can double your salary in 7 days. Take this class. You can, and it's a lot of that marketing. And so, and it just causes people to say, well, I'll try it, but then it doesn't happen. And they get scared, and they get worried, and they get nervous, right?
Right.
And so they said the very, very best thing to do is to look for and hope for experiences of other people. Oh, that person's working. Oh, that person just got a job. It's not meant to cause envy. It's meant to give you this. Here's an example. Use the energy of it. Here's an example. Use the energy of it. Here's an example. Use the energy of it. Draw the energy in of, I got a great offer. I love my job. I love my job. I love my job. I love my job. And when you get those examples and you tell yourself, I want to draw that energy in for my own manifesting, then it's a game changer. It's a game changer. Mm-hmm. And when you start doing it on everything, well, then watch how things start to just alter. Your life just starts to improve on the things that you're wanting. So draw the energy in, but don't use envy when you're looking at those examples. That technique is really foremost on my mind, especially during this shift phenomenon. And it's a fun thing for me to know in advance and work with them on, day by day. It is nice to be a medium and have that side-by-side guidance. It makes you feel supported, if nothing else.
Yeah, right.
Without a doubt. Let me just ask this. So does it have to do with honoring where you're at right now and loving on where you see yourself without envy? So if there was a word that was the opposite of envy that you could add more into your grid, is there a word that you could share?
They just talked about that the other night, which is kind of funny that you mentioned that. They really do. They really do plant seeds when they craft this conversation that you guys and I have. Joy. It's joy. It's joy. But what is joy? And they said, people really find boredom. And then when they become moderately interested in something, then they don't feel like they're bored anymore. But that's not happy. Happy. And so it's joy is the opposite of envy. And envy is, I don't have it, and I don't think I'm going to have it. And joy is, I have it, and I'm really happy that I have it. And so it's exuberant enthusiasm is how they differentiate joy from just run-of-the-mill joy. Because we use words, we use feelings and emotions, and we don't always attach the right idea to it. And they said when you break it down into more words, then the definition becomes more apparent. And so envy is, I want it, and I don't think I'm ever going to have it. And it's an anger tendency. then joy is I have it, and I love that I have it, and I'm a happy person because of it. And so there's pure positivity versus, just riddled with negativity.
That's awesome.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Ride the wave of positive. Ride the wave of positive as often as you can.
And live life with joyful awareness, I think, is the key. Joy. And here we are in the season of summer. And I think sometimes we forget that the season, it's just a short season. And I know everybody's had the heat, they've had challenges, whatever it is, but it's to be joyfully present in the season. I've only had one opportunity to go to the pool and enjoy the water. And I thought, well, that's okay. However it is, the season, I will make time to do that. I'm going to bring that in, and so that I can be more enjoy the summer. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for that.
That's a nice way to do it. And I like how you describe that too. Enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
For enjoy. When you're enjoying something, when you're enjoying something, that means you really like what you're doing. And that means that you are in joy, and that's good. Nice tie-in.
I'm in joy all summer. Actually, I'm in joy every day. It's like, I love thinking that way. And I
know when October comes, you're going to say that you are enjoying autumn, because it's so funny because every time I talk to you, no matter what the season is, there's always something positive. That there's always something that you do in each season that makes you feel happy that season is happening right now. And I love that about you, by the way.
Yeah, I love it. It's there's always something fun to do. There's always something that's joyful about everything. There's a lot of people complaining that it's hot right about now, or that it's raining too much, or that it's flooding too much. However, the shifting those thoughts to what is joyful, to me, it's just everything. You find, as you said a year ago, 2 years ago, find the joy in everything. Find the joy.
Yeah.
And I remember that every day. Find the joy in whatever. You can get dragged into things, dragged down in terms of frequencies, if you'll let yourself be dragged down by things based on what you're exposing yourself to. However, you can also make the choice to live in joy and shift your thoughts to, and your physical momentum to something that is joyful for you. Find that joy. Stop doing that thing you don't like and do something that brings you joy.
Right.
Can't carry those feelings back into everything. Yeah, can't carry those feelings on. It makes everything else so much better. That's what I tell people all the time. It is feeling that joy. It just permeates every other area of your life, and that's what I love about it.
So, what do you do? This is a question for both of you, because what James just said to me was, what people want to know is, but how? But how? What does that mean? What are the actionable things? So what do you guys do when you are wanting to notice joy? Like, is there something that you remind yourself of, or is there something that you do to make it stand out to you?
Yeah. I chase my corgi around the living room. There's nothing. I am so happy. I am giggling happy. I am so joyful. I forget about everything else. Or I'll sit down and play the drums. Or I'll get out and play in the backyard. Or I'll go do something that is completely the opposite of what I've been engaged in. If I've been on a computer or whatever, I get up and go do something else. And something that what I happen to share with most people is, we all have gifts, we all have talents, and those engaging in them brings us joy. It makes us feel joy. We are in joy when we're doing what we're meant to do, whatever that may be. And so I generally do that. I go off and just shift my thoughts, my thinking. I'll go out and take a walk, look at the squirrels, watch the breeze move the trees, whatever it may be. Take a dog out for a walk. I'll go walk for myself, and it generally shifts everything. It shifts everything. So those are the two things that I probably do more than ever. I didn't have a dog 3 years ago, so I was playing the drums, but now I do, and it's so joyful to see this particular little being unfold and develop a personality and move and wiggle, and I'm in joy all the time, basically.
So it's a conscious choice to do something every day that you know that you like to do.
Right.
Yeah. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that don't do that. Make a conscious choice to add something to your day that you know you enjoy, that lifts your spirits and makes you laugh or makes you smile, makes you feel energetic.
Yeah, that's so true.
How about you, Lisa? What do you do? What do you do when you're in a bad mood and you're trying to get yourself out of a bad mood? What is your technique or method? What do you do?
Well, most of the time I'm not in a bad mood, only because I'm so busy.
We know that, but pretend.
I don't know. And you know what? And I have all of these little fuzzy friends that I care for, including these little raccoons and these baby raccoons that just bring me so much joy. But it's so interesting, and I'm grateful for James for asking the question of both of us, because I so value the teachings that you bring forth, because I share them with somebody that is going through a challenge and can't see it as the proverbial forest through the trees, other than is so consumed with the challenge, they're forgetting the beauty and the gift in life. And I had to just, kindly say, you're missing the point. You're so consumed. I said, you don't even connect with people anymore. And part of that, for myself, that's exactly what I do. Whether it's calling a friend and just having a silly conversation or laughing about something. I love my books. I love to be lost in my books. And as of late, I've been taking early morning walks, and I am just in amazement and wonder at nature. I've been finding all of these textures and flowers, and I was mesmerized the other day with these little bees in the thistles. And I love thistles, and I know that they're considered a weed, but they're just so glorious to watch. And the burdock is coming out, and I'm enjoying the sweetness of the season and the beauty of it. And that's usually what I do if I'm having a challenge, and life has been challenging as of late, but I just take one of the lessons that the teachers taught me, and that's to pivot. I walk into the energy, and then I do a 180, and then I walk the other way, and I leave it behind me. And then I'm ready to embark on something new and beautiful. And I'm so deeply grateful for that teaching, because it has helped me immeasurably.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. And just briefly, I'll explain to anybody that's interested. It's because we use the phrase, I'm going to turn my back on you. You should turn your back on that person. Turn your back on that job. Or it's a coming together of the definition of a phrase and wanting something different in the moment. So let's just say you have an upsetting phone call or an upsetting email. You turn the computer off or you set your phone down, and you physically, literally, turn a 180 from the device and walk away from it. And at the same time, have it in your mind, I am walking away from nasty emails or bad conversations or an upsetting moment in time. And so you combine a complete turn your physical back onto the object or the person or the moment, and then step forward and have an understanding of why you're doing that. And it has an immediate change on what your thought pattern is. I'm so glad
it has an immediate change. Oh no, it does. It has an immediate change. Yeah, it's so freeing. I can't express how freeing it is. And sometimes I almost skip. I like skipping to the beautiful, joyful energy, because skipping, and you know what, you're going to laugh because sometimes I'm just so silly, but I started twirling last night. I just finished feeding the dogs. It was close to 3 o'clock in the morning by the time I was done the night before, and so I should have gone to bed. But you know what, I felt really joyful. And I don't know if it was the anticipation for this conversation, but I was like a little kid where you put your arms out, and I just twirled around the living room for no reason, but it felt great.
Yeah.
It felt great.
Yeah.
Spontaneous
for no other reason than it felt like fun thing to do.
Yeah. Spontaneous
me
dance.
being silly. Mm-hmm.
It was so strange, because I find myself on my late 10 o'clock dog walks listening to music and actually dancing in the street a bit. This makes me feel so good. I'm sure somebody looking out the window that late at night will go, "What is he doing? What is he doing?" No, it's just making some moves. It's just there are many things that we can do to ignite that joy and feel it. And I love what you just said about turning around and walking the other way. That's a brilliant exercise. It's a brilliant way to shift completely, because it's a 180. I mean, literally, you can't argue with that. It's like, boom, that was there, and now I'm here. You know, I'm completely in another direction, and my thoughts are now moving forward. I love that. Thank you.
Right, and that is why you do a 180 and step forward, because now you're stepping away from the problem. You turn your back on the problem, and you walk away from it. It just happens to be the way that we describe things. You know, we use that, that set of phrases, turn your back on it, or just walk away from it. And because it's so used, there's such a strong propensity for people to use phrases like that when you do it with the intention to walk away from something, when you do it with cognizant awareness, then the unconscious part of you adopts it immediately. Is a strong influencer.
Yeah, I love it.
No, without a doubt. And so I'm going to ask, because are there any other practices that can put us in a more joyful presence that the teachers would want to share today that I could incorporate as well? I would be grateful.
My gosh, there are so many that they bring up. They call it the U-turn, and they call it a flip-flop. And they say it is backward momentum. And so it's, what can you do? The idea is whatever one feels like fun in that moment. If you're in a bad mood, you have something that maybe you do regularly, but if you're in a bad mood or something bad has just happened, you might not want to do that one because you're so balled up in frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't. Do a different one. And so, there's talking yourself down by just using the word fun. Just use the word fun. And when you do it, you keep doing it. And when a image or a thought comes to mind that aligns with fun, then just smile to yourself, literally smile to yourself. And so it would go like this: fun, fun, just the word, fun, 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 fun. You don't say anything else, and you just say the word fun, but you keep saying it to yourself until you have a manifested thought or an image that aligns with fun. And so depending on what your mood is, it could be 3 minutes, but it will happen, somewhere between 20 seconds and 3 minutes. You got to have the time for that one. It is best if used out loud, but in a pinch, you could say it to yourself. And that's the one they wanted to bring up today.
That's great.
But certainly, the technique of smiling, it is one that I use often, when I'm trying to do something like, use a screwdriver and I'm trying to use some torque pressure, or, anytime that you find that you're scrunching your eyebrow, and you've got that, you guys know what I mean, right? What is the word scrunch? It's like you're scrunching your forehead. Mm-hmm. When you're making that facial expression of, I'm not sure how to do this. They said in that moment, just relax your face and smile. Just smile. Even if the thought in your head is there's no way I can get this done. There's no way I can finish running this mile. There's no way I'm going to get the baby to stop crying. There's no way that I'm going to be able to clean up that stain. There's no way. They said in that moment, it is one of the easiest and best techniques is just put a smile on your face and smile through it. Because what it does is your thoughts your thoughts are negative. Your thoughts are, this is difficult, this is a challenge. And the smile, the unconscious mind knows that when the lips create a smile, joy is also in the moment. Joy is also in the moment. So even if you have to manufacture a smile, then the mind is saying, okay, now I have a choice. Do I make this situation easier or not? And so keep that smile on your face. Smile through it. Smile through it. Smile through it. And it does.
I was going to say, I have a great big smile. I have a great big smile right now. Because yesterday I had a bolt that I could not get off of my engine to put power steering fluid in. And I really needed power steering fluid. And I tried all get out. And finally, I was doing exactly that. I was scrunching up my face, and I thought, I cannot do this. And then I got a epiphany, and I called a guy who does a lot of work for me, and I said, hey, do you have a ratchet set? Do you think you could help me? I can't get this off. And it was over that quick, all of that. And I had a great big smile on my face afterwards.
It evaporated.
And it did. It was just gone. But I just want to share with you, Carol, because when you were saying fun, and you mentioned that it took about 20 seconds, I had the most beautiful visual of blowing bubbles, like having that soap ring. And then every time you said fun, there was a bubble that came out with like fun.
There.
So I really appreciate it because I'm going to anchor into that. Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
And that's exactly it. You say it, and 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 you say it, until a thought comes to mind that feels it. Now, but what you did say kind of expands the use of it. Let's say that you're watching. Now, I'm a grandmother. I have 3 adorable grandsons. But let's say I see them struggling with something. Or if, we're in the park and I see a parent scold their child, you can use it for other people when they're going through some struggle moment. If you see it and it occurs to you to use it, then you just say to yourself, fun. And that other person could tune into the energy of it and lighten up their mood. It's like a projection effect, and it certainly causes you to focus on fun and not what else that moment has in it. Nobody likes to see a child get scolded, or to see a child struggle. And so how do you keep your emotions in check? Same technique. But the energy is in that vicinity, in that moment. And so other people there can tune into it and draw themselves towards a happier thought at the same time.
That's wonderful.
Because, energy flows outward. And so it's, I have students all the time that are asking the teachers how to handle family situations. And, my son is going through this, my child's going through that, my cousin, all walks of life. But, advice for how do I handle this, or can you give me anything? And that's one that they use a lot. It's the way that you think in the moment, in the vicinity of them, or while they're on your mind, those thoughts flow outward in all directions. And then, if you have a specific person on your mind, it flows outward in all directions and then faster towards the person that's on your mind.
Mhm.
And then look for evidence that something is better. And evidence could be, somebody shifts their body language. Look for body language. That's what they mean by any evidence. Body language and facial expressions can really be a telltale sign of that somebody is inching their way toward feeling better, emotionally or even physically.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the idea of being able to share that fun with somebody who may not be experiencing that and changing energy. And I think for anybody who doubts their ability to do that, they only have to look at the magic of a cell phone or a radio or any other type of frequency that is going through, it's unseen, or even a television. All of these things that we take for granted, and to be able to know that we're empowered and can send joyful, fun, and love to other people that may not be experiencing it, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful practice. I love it. I think that the way to shift.
Yeah. 3 very practical things we can do to shift our mood. And
it's just, it's choosing friendly. You can choose to engage in the emotional energy, negative. I'm talking about a negative thing. You can choose to engage with the negativity, and engage with it means that you notice it, and maybe you become critical or you judge it. That's engaging with negative emotion, or just choose to add friendly to yourself and to whoever is, doing whatever they're doing around you. Choose friendly. When you choose friendly, you feel better, and you feel like you've done something constructive. And that's really when you're trying to figure out what to do and how to apply. The idea of choose the better thought, just choose happy. When you're in a bad mood, choosing happy is not always easy, but it can be. It's funny. So I have a little package of Dove chocolate in the refrigerator because a friend of mine stops over and she likes them. So I keep it in the refrigerator for her. And I sat down last night and I was exhausted. I had just a day full of all kinds of things. And so I finally took 5 minutes for myself, and I sat down and I opened up the Dove chocolate. And you know how it has the little saying on the inside. And it says, and it said simply this: smile like you just found $20 in your pocket. And I read it, and for 1 second, I looked at it and I said, "Well, that's a good tip." And for 1 second, I didn't feel like doing it. I just felt like reading it. And then I stopped and I thought, why not? And I just put this big grin on my face, and then I kind of laughed out loud. It does make a difference. And so if nothing else, just smile like you just found $20 in your pocket. And
there's nothing like it when you do.
And then walk forward. Walk forward. Yeah.
That's great.
That's
so
a good
I have a question. I was going to say, Carol and the teachers, I have a question for you, because you were speaking about shift, and you alluded to the shift earlier in the conversation. So as you mentioned, we were in this shift and creating more friendly, more joy, more of what we want to see in this world. Is that helping us navigate through the shift? Are we seeing a greater quantity of it than we did probably previously at the beginning of the shift that we're undergoing?
Well, the shift is humanitarian aid by non-physical life. So it's a way of helping the human population adopt intuition to manifest with, rather than law of attraction. Because there is an alternative. Law of attraction is what we do, but there is an alternative, and those are those things that are divinely inspired. And so there are ways to focus on life, and there's ways to engage with life in a healthy way. And the shift is accentuating the positive. And so it's like it's a frequency or a wavelength of thought in the air all around the world, and it's thick in nature, and it simply is asking the unconscious part of every person to align with friendly and to use divine inspiration more often. And so, navigating through it, it's more like using it. So using the shift phenomenon, because if you navigate through it, it almost means like you want to avoid it or tread through it and look forward to it, coming and going. And it's more like this is a glorious thing. It's a glorious energy. It's a frequency of thought that causes the subconscious mind to align with friendly and to use divine inspiration to manifest upcoming moments. And who doesn't want that? So what do you do with that? Know that it exists. It is a buildup that happened in June of last year and June of this year, and then is resident in the air, where thought resides. It resides right alongside regular human thought, and it stays there as a permanent inclusion. So the summer months are meant to acclimate to it, and person by person, they said it's a 10-year phenomenon. Last year was 2024 was year one. This obviously we're in year two, so we've got 8.5 more years to work with the idea of I understand it, I like it. They said no matter what, every human being will begin working with it before the decade has come to a close. And then in a couple of generations from now, the world needs less violence and less sarcasm. And so that's one of the ways that they're doing it. So the projection is within one decade, all human beings will begin to use that wavelength. And so we'll all be using a little bit friendlier tactics. And the sooner you use it, the sooner you begin to adopt it stronger. So this
is the friendly wavelength?
Yeah, well, that's it's a manufactured wavelength of thought or a higher frequency put into our physical domain to help our subconscious mind to align with divine inspiration as what to use to manifest our lives. We can say it, but it's a way of convincing the subconscious mind to do that even when we're busy and thinking about other things, or when we're a person that hasn't been introduced to that idea. They too will get that influence. So it's a strong influence that's very dominant over these summer months, and then it'll prove to change the world's temperament. And they said 3 generations from now, the world will have shifted away from the need for sarcasm. It's primarily focused on reducing sarcasm so that violence shifts downward. And so, they said it's targeting the cause rather than the outcome. And sarcasm, that playfulness is playfulness, but sarcastic ways of interacting with people really cause belittlement, causes frustration, causes withdrawal, causes anger. And so there's, violence shows up in so many different ways. It's, the rage violence, but also depression is a form of violence. And those are things that this shift phenomenon is targeting. So You know, when I am inside, at least once in the morning and once in the evening, I like to remind myself that the wavelength of used divine inspiration is right here, right now in my home. And when I'm outside, you know, at least once a day, I like to do the same thing. That wavelength of influence to use divine inspiration, it surrounds me, it's all around me. Lean towards it, adopt that as my preference, and let humanity lean towards it faster and easier as well, because I want the world to be nicer and friendlier, and I want everybody to lean towards it. You know, they say everybody's going to lean towards it and begin using it within that 10-year span. And what I hope for everybody is that they lean towards it sooner rather than later.
Much sooner.
Because, you know, of course. And so, you know, that's kind of my intention every day is I want to know it's there. I want to use it myself and personally, and I want humanity to recognize it and lean towards it and use it, you know, person by person sooner rather than later.
That's a beautiful and profound invitation, I think, for all of us. And I have a big smile on my face, Carol. It just fills my heart with so much joy to think that we're so close. And I don't know if it began with mindfulness and what doors, like it's like this little path that's leading us towards that, but it's that serenity and to think that everybody could be in peace and joy in every season of their life would be just amazing. And I know you're probably smiling as big as I am, Michael.
Oh yeah.
Those words.
Just that thought is that thought is brilliant. It's amazing, and just to hold that thought, that picture in our minds. That what you just said there, that the more people are engaged in joy and fun, and how different the world would be if that were the case, instead of sarcasm and anger and depression.
How different the world will be, and that's really what they're emphasizing. It's not in the perfect situation or in the perfect scenario. I wish this could happen. They said no. We are causing the world to shift. You know, some of the spiritual community talks about shifting from 4D to 5D, and that they said what they're trying to explain is the shift. It's not, the frequency of the earth is not changing, and there's some misconception about that. It's not the frequency of the globe is not changing, but the frequency of our thought is shifting to a more pleasant nature. And when that happens, we will be less sarcastic and less violent from it. And that's going to take a few generations from now, but the world will be a different place.
That's wonderful.
We can all start right now, and we'll get there sooner.
Yeah, and for any,
that's
I was going to say, get there sooner. And for any of our listeners who would like to continue their own awakening journey with Carol Collins and the Teachers, I would suggest that you please visit channelingtheteachers.com, because there are so many incredible resources and guidance and workshops and that all open these doorways and I think help create a stronger connection to the love and oneness that we're all feeling, and will, I guess, bring that forth even sooner. But Carol, here we are. I don't even know where the time goes. We still have a little bit of time, but I would love for you, if there are any thoughts that the teachers or you would like to share with our audience. The wisdom and what you shared has just been so incredible today, and I would encourage everybody. The workshops and the classes are absolutely amazing, and you can find that at Channeling the Teacher. So please, Carol, I'd love for you to share whatever else you'd like to.
Yeah, final thoughts.
Awesome. Carol's guide. Thanks to Carol's guide. And so we say this: you are guided You are guided. You are guided. You are guided. And we say that because so many do not believe that they are guided. They believe that they are not guided, that they are alone, that they are responsible for finding every solution. They don't see evidence around them, and they walk through life as though they are responsible and they are insignificant and they are dependent upon themselves for everything. But you, all human beings, but you listeners that are here and are engaging with this conversation, you are guided. Each of you have a guide, and each of you are guided vibrationally. What is vibrational? Guidance. It is existential conversation with your subconscious mind to produce life experience to you that you feel pleasing. And so guidance is not mediumship. Guidance is a conversation that we have with your subconscious mind. And everyone has a subconscious mind, that's the soul within. And we have a conversation with the soul within every second of every day. Every second of every day. You are guided. You simply need to notice the signs. And the signs are wellness. The signs of wellness. The signs of wellness are what is working, what is pleasing, what is fun, what is healthy, what is working as it should, what looks the way you purchased it. The signs of wellness are all around you. Wellness is not guidance, but wellness is a symbol of sorts that reminds you that there is goodness in the world. Lean towards, step towards, sit on, sit underneath, choose things that are not broken, physically, literally broken. If you have a choice to sit in a restaurant at a table with a table that is wobbly or a table that is sturdy, sit at the one that is sturdy because it has more wellness surrounding it. Lean towards, step towards, sit upon those things that are sturdy. And then your mind will accept wellness as your way of being in the physical world. That's what we have for you. Be happy in addition to that.
Love it. Thank you so much, teachers.
Beautiful. Thank you.
It is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so practical. I mean, the visuals are just stellar. Sit where it is sturdy. I mean, we all would do that. Just a function of actually thinking that way about, it's a great metaphor for the rest of your life, right? I love it. Thank you, Carol.
Yeah.
Thank you, teachers.
Good guidance. You're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate the opportunity to bring them forward.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Thank you, Carol, and the teachers. I mean, this has just been the most delightful journey of discovery, and that's what Awakening and the Shift is all about. It just leaves me speechless and with a big, huge smile on my face, and I'm just so grateful to you. And please do visit channelingtheteachers.com because you will not regret it. There are so many wonderful insights and so many incredible opportunities to help you navigate through. We've just touched on some of the wonderful exercises, but I just want to say thank you. You always connect us with such boundless love and joy, Carol. I'm just so grateful and looking forward to the next one.
And
Thank you. And you're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate every time we get together, and I look forward to hearing this one once it gets aired, and then also next month and the next month and the next month and next month. I love you guys.
Thank you. Until next time. Take care. Bye-bye.